And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, on today's show, we got a great show for you. We're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails. And I do all that every single day. But what's special for today is I've got a segment where I'm going to present tax tips to you that are going to be useful. We'll be doing that throughout tax season. So hopefully you'll look forward to it. It'll be every Wednesday that we'll be giving you some tax tips. And also today, our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless, is going to be talking about new cell phone technology. He always does that with us. The man is just a genius. He does all that stuff. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. And right now, before that, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. You know what? We're going to encapsulate the news for you so that you get an idea of what's going on in the world today. And then what we're going to do is we'll go a little bit more in depth. Now, this is the format that we use every day, and that way you can get a little more information about what's going on in the world. But let's talk about the 10 things that you need to know for today, Wednesday. Your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, the stories that will be talked about all day today, Wednesday, and tomorrow, Thursday. First up, Supreme Court agrees to review Obama's immigration actions. The step by the justices sets up a likely decision in the middle of a presidential campaign marked by harsh rhetoric about immigrants. And which conservative heavyweight is backing Trump? Sarah Palin endorses the GOP frontrunner, saying he's going rogue left and right. That's why he's doing so well. And the Islamic State group acknowledges death of Jihadi John. The confirmation comes 2 months after the United States military said it was reasonably certain that a drone strike in Syria had killed the notorious militant. And what eastern U.S. is bracing for? Well, a major storm is forecast for the end of the week. The big questions are just where it'll hit and how much snow will actually follow. And in Burkina Faso, attackers shown in an Associated Press video. The exclusive footage of the jihadis more than an hour after the assault began raises new questions about why it took so long for security forces to find and actually kill them. Next up, American freed in prisoner swap recounts departure from Tehran. The next U.S. Marine, Amir Heknati, says he and his fellow prisoners weren't able to relax until their plane had left Iranian airspace, after which champagne corks were popped. And Michigan governor pledges to fix water crisis in Flint. The disaster is the impoverished city has engulfed Governor Rick Snyder's administration with criticism from across the country. And whose economic outlook is decidedly bleak? Chief executives around the world are more pessimistic about the global economy than at any time in 3 years, according to a survey released at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Well, calls for boycott over a lack of Oscars diversity. The furor grows as the Reverend Al Sharpton says he will lead a campaign encouraging people not to watch the February 28th telecast. And then finally, such a fine sight to see. Eagles fans gather on a corner in Winslow, Arizona to celebrate the life of Glenn Frey. Absolutely. Co-founder with Don Henley and the Eagles. Isn't that, I mean, that's just magnificent. That's what I think. Well, let's get in a little bit more in depth. I think we ought to get that taken care of. First off, stocks slide as oils tumble. The Standard & Poor lowest in about 2 years. You know, the United States stocks slumped today. Excuse me. As the price of oil suffered its worst one-day drop since September, and the Standard & Poor's 500 index fell to its lowest level in almost 2 years. Investors are worried that low oil prices mean that that's not that much demand for fuel. That would be a sign that growth in the global economy is slowing down. Stocks in the United States started sharply lower following widespread selling overseas and looked like they were headed for huge losses. At one point, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell as much as 565 points. After a late recovery, the Dow closed down 249.29 points, or 1.6% to 15,766.74. The Standard & Poor's 500 index fell 22 points, or 1.2%, to 1,859.33 shares, and that is its lowest closing price since April of 2014. The NASDAQ Composite, which briefly turned positive in the afternoon, lost 5.26 points, or 0.1%, to 4,471.69. Now, the Dow is the lowest it's been since August, and the NASDAQ is at its lowest since October of 2014. U.S. crude dropped $1.91, or 6.7%, to $26.55 a barrel in New York. That was the biggest one-day plunge for U.S. oil since September the 1st. U.S. crude is down 28% in 2016 and is trading at its lowest level since May of 2003. Well, we ought to be able to see some good stuff at the pumps. Let's talk a little bit more about oil for just a second. You know, Wall Street is drowning in oil. Stocks are having their worst start to a year in history, in part because of the rapid plunge in the price of oil. The price of crude is down 28% this year already, which in turn has dragged down energy company shares in the Standard & Poor's 500 index by 13%, which has helped pull the overall index down 9%. This even though low oil prices and the cheap prices for gasoline and other fuels that result are wonderful for consumers and many companies. It seems ironic that in the run-up to the global financial crisis, we were worried about oil prices being too high in 2007 and 2008. Now, we're worried about them being too low, said Julian Jessup, head of commodities research with London-based researchers Capital Economics Limited. The drastic drop in oil and stock prices stands in contrast with the U.S. economy that, on the whole, is doing pretty well. U.S. employers created 292,000 jobs in December, and few economists see the economy sliding into recession. You know what? Time will tell. There's a lot of ways of reading these things, but here's one that's really interesting for you. Palin joins Trump in a call to make America great again. Conservative firebrand Sarah Palin joined Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump in Oklahoma yesterday, or actually today, as part of their endorsement pledge in an increasing intense race for GOP nomination. Are you all ready to work to make America great again? Palin asked a crowd of thousands packed into an arena in Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma, echoing Trump's campaign mantra. Palin, who was absent from Trump's Wednesday morning event in Norwalk, Iowa, despite a scheduled appearance, rejoined the Trump campaign in Tulsa, warming up the crowd ahead of the candidate's speech. But Palin also struck a personal tone, alluding to problems her son and other returning military vets endure when returning to civilian life. It's kind of the elephant in the room, she began, addressing her family's struggle. Palin's oldest son, Track, was arrested earlier this week in a domestic violence case in which his girlfriend told police she was afraid he would shoot himself with a rifle. Palin was charged with assault, interfering with the report of a domestic violence crime, and possessing a weapon while intoxicated in connection with the incident. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to have some more news for you. We're going to talk about a deadly Pakistani school attack that raises security questions. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. Well, you know what? A deadly Pakistani school attack raises security questions. Once again, Islamic militants stormed a school in northeastern Pakistan in a deadly attack that lasted for hours. And once again, the blood of students and teachers stained classrooms and hallways, raising questions about whether security forces are able to protect the country's educational institutions from extremists. At least 20 people were killed and 23 were wounded today in the assault in Baka Khan University in Chersada before the 4 gunmen were slain and the military declared an end to the siege. 2 teachers were among the dead, including a chemistry professor who was praised as a hero for shooting back at the attackers and allowing some students to escape. The university attack was grimly reminiscent of the December 2014 massacre at an army public school in nearby Peshawar that killed 150, mostly children. A breakaway faction of the Taliban took responsibility for the university attack, although a spokesman for the larger Taliban organization, led by Mullah Fazullah, denied having anything to do with it and called it un-Islamic. Yeah, I guess. I don't know what is and what isn't anymore, do you? Well, you know what? How about this? Only on the Associated Press, the oldest Christian monastery in Iraq is razed. The oldest Christian monastery in Iraq has been reduced to a field of rubble, yet another victim of the Islamic State group's relentless destruction of ancient cultural sites. For 1,400 years, the compound survived assaults by nature and man, standing as a place of worship recently for U.S. troops. In earlier centuries, generations of monks tucked candles in the niches and prayed in the cool chapel. The Greek letters chi and rho, representing the first 2 letters of Christ's name, were carved near the entrance. Now, satellite photos obtained exclusively by the Associated Press confirmed the worst fears of church authorities and preservationists. St. Elijah's Monastery of Mosul has been completely wiped out. In his office in exile in Erbil, Iraq, the Reverend Paul Thabit Habib, 39 years old, stared quietly at before and after images of the monastery that once perched on a hillside above his hometown of Mosul. Shaken, he flipped back to his own photos for comparison. I can't describe my sadness, he said in Arabic. Our Christian history in Mosul is being barbarically leveled. We see it as an attempt to expel us from Iraq, eliminating and finishing our existence in this land. you know what? All I can say is they're barbarians. Nothing more, nothing less. They're barbarians. Well, the last run for the current SAT this week, new one debuts in March for this SAT. Here's the deal. The current version of the SAT college entrance exam has its final run this weekend when hundreds of thousands of students nationwide will sit, squirm, and stress through a nearly 4-hour reading, writing, and math test. A new revamped version debuts in March. 16-year-old Alex Cohen, a junior at the Miami County Day School in Florida, thinks he's solid on math, but he's been studiously cramming on vocabulary words to get ready for the exam. I don't want to study for a new one, so hopefully I'll do well on this one, he said. Alex said his college advisor was worried about students being guinea pigs for the new SAT that rolls out on March 5th and told him to focus on Saturday's exam. There's a lot of vocabulary on this test, so I've been trying to memorize as many words as I can per day, said Alex, who went to study business and finance in college. Well, good luck, Alex. We hope that Saturday works out well for you. Well, the NOAA, NASA 2015 was Earth's hottest by a wide margin. Last year wasn't just the Earth's hottest year on record. It left a century of high temperature marks in the dust. The National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration and NASA announced today that 2015 was by far the hottest year in 136 years of record keeping. For the most part, scientists at the agencies and elsewhere blame man-made global warming with a boost from El Nino. The NOAA said 2015's temperature was 58.62 degrees Fahrenheit, passing 2014 by a record margin of 0.29 degrees. That's 1.62 degrees above the 20th century average. NASA, which measures differently, said 2015 was 0.23 degrees warmer than the record set in 2014 and 1.6 degrees above 20th century averages. Well, because of the wide margin over 2014, NASA calculated that 2015 was the record for 94% certainty, more than double the certainty that it had last year when announcing 2014 as a record. The NOAA put the number at above 99%, or virtually certain, said Tom Carl, director of NOAA's National Centers for Environmental Information. Wow, hottest in centuries, right? In centuries. Just give that some thought, right? Well, how about this? We have an AP interview. Iran's top diplomat decries U.S. coercion. New U.S. sanctions over Iran's ballistic missile testing are an example of an American addiction to coercion despite improved relations and a historic nuclear deal, Iran's foreign minister said in an interview just today. Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif in Davos for the World Economic Forum said the ballistic program was part of Iran's right to legitimate self-defense and said the prospect of restoring U.S.-Iranian diplomatic relations remains far away despite the nuclear deal. His comments to the Associated Press came after the United States on Sunday imposed sanctions against 11 individuals and entities involved in Iran's ballistic missile program as a result of Tehran's firing of a medium-range ballistic missile one day after the Obama administration lifted economic penalties against Iran over its nuclear program. Now, having said that, do not go away. When we come back from this commercial message, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. First case up, you know what? It's too late to collect tax from a bankrupt. And I'll explain that to you right after these brief messages. So don't go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, right back at my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses, and we've got some, some terrific things here for you today. And so, you know what? I'm just inclined to say, let's get to them, right? Yeah, absolutely. You know what? The IRS loses. It's too late to collect tax from a bankrupt. Here's the case. Glenn Redkay declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the court approved a reorganization plan under which he would sell investment assets to pay his debts. Now, before the sale, he died. The assets were then sold, but the IRS asked the court to reopen the bankruptcy case, saying the bankruptcy estate owed capital gains tax on the sale. So this is what the court said. After a Chapter 11 reorganization plan is approved, the bankruptcy estate terminates and its assets vest back in the former debtor. Here, that meant that they vested in Redkay's personal estate. So, the IRS's bankruptcy claim is dismissed, and it must collect capital gains tax owed, if any, after loss offsets from the personal estate. Just makes sense. Just makes common sense, doesn't it? Sure. That's exactly what it does. How about this? The IRS concedes. Now, you've heard me say it. The IRS only concedes when they're pretty sure they can't prevail in court. Here's this case. The VA work therapy payments are now tax-free. The IRS says that it'll no longer tax payments made under the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, compensated work therapy program to participants in that program. Now, the program provides paid work that also has therapeutic benefits to veterans. The IRS treated the payments as taxable wages under the tax court recently ruled them to be a tax-free health benefit. The IRS now says that it will not appeal and that program participants who paid tax on the payments that they received from it during the last 3 years are entitled to tax refunds if they file for them now. Well, let me give you one more. The IRS loses. Neglect is not excusable. The IRS was considering whether Timothy Severs was personally liable for $200,000 of employment taxes owed by a business when he declared bankruptcy. Now, via automated procedures that apply in all bankruptcy cases, the IRS checked Severs' tax debts. It found that they were minimal on his personal tax return, so it didn't file a claim in the bankruptcy case. Later, an IRS auditor held that Severs did owe the $200,000 of taxes, but did not tell the IRS's bankruptcy case division. The IRS finally made a late claim for them, arguing that its excusable neglect permitted it. And so here's what the judge said. The IRS is a sophisticated creditor, and its neglect is not excusable. In the claim, it's dismissed, is what should be the case, right? Now, you've heard me talk about it many times, about inside the IRS. This is a case where you want to be a fly on the wall, right? It's not necessarily tax court issues, but it is precedents that set down, and you can tell what the IRS is going to do in advance, and you can make plans based on that. So that's what this section is when we call it inside the IRS. It's sort of like a twilight zone. Oh, yeah, here we are. Well, you know what? Now, I guess we could say we're in the twilight zone. This is an IRS issue that's going on, but let's get right to it. Don't be seduced by the IRS's last chance amnesty offer on offshore bank account actions. The IRS is promoting a settlement program for individuals who maintain offshore bank accounts that have not reported on their tax returns. If you respond positively within 15 days of its offer, you must give the IRS access to every piece of information that it's seeking. In return, they will not prosecute you for a tax crime, but you've got to be careful here. The revenue agent may only know that you maintain an offshore bank account. He or she may not know when the money was deposited into the account or the source of that money. So here's a strategy for you. Do not respond to any questions until you have met with a knowledgeable tax attorney. I want to tell you, that will be money well spent. Let me give you one more case here before we take our commercial break, and that is what special agents want to know when they contact your tax preparer. Yeah, they do that, and they do it all the time. One of the most important witnesses in a criminal case against you is the person who actually prepared your tax return. The preparer generally has in his or her possession work paper files that contain originals of copies of financial documents and handwritten notes. The special agents will summon these to obtain evidence of criminal conduct, looking for proof of intent to evade the payment of tax by underreporting income or hiding assets. Advice for tax preparers? Before agreeing to talk to a special agent, ask for a summons for the requested information. If the IRS issues a summons, review it with your attorney before making any statements to the IRS. You want to be sure that you have not been complicit in your client's wrongdoing. I want to tell you, this is a big, big deal. Excuse me. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, I'm actually going to give you some tax tips. We're gonna go through some things, and we're gonna try and make sure that what we have done is to give you some real good tips for your tax situation. When I come back, I'm going to talk about substantiation loopholes and many, many more things. This whole next section will be you and me and taxes. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It was on its way down to 47 degrees. But you know what? If you live in New York City, it's currently 6:33 p.m. It's 34 degrees and it's partly cloudy. You know what? Having said that, talking about cloudy, let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about some substantiation loopholes that you can use right now. You know what? When you present proper documentation, you'll protect yourself in an IRS audit. Now, here's what you need to prove: the income and deductions on your tax return. First loophole, report incorrect or missing 1099s on your return. Banks, brokerages, and other players or payers of income file directly with the IRS, which cross-checks the information with Forms 1099 that individuals report on their returns. Now, discrepancies automatically trigger written inquiries from the IRS and can lead to an audit. So let me give you an example of that. Let's just say your bank sent you a 1099 reporting an incorrect amount of interest earned on your account for last year. What do? Enter on your return the actual amount of taxable interest income that you received or were credited with, and then on another line, show the amount that is reported on the 1099. Beneath that, show the 1099 amount as a negative number and write this explanation. The interest amount reported by my bank is incorrect. The corrected 1099 was requested but not yet issued by the bank. The correct amount has been reflected on this return. I want to tell you, folks, always, you know what? It's CYA. You know what it stands for, sure. Here's another loophole for you. Reconstruct missing W-2s. You know what? Just because you don't receive it doesn't mean you didn't get the money. And the IRS, and a lot of people don't send you the W-2s, but they do send them to the federal government. You know, if a company you worked for went out of business or your employer hasn't yet given you a Form W-2, you should reconstruct your salary and withholding records on Form 4852. That's a substitute for Form W-2, wage and tax statement, or Form 1099-R, distributions from pensions, annuities, retirement, or profit sharing plans, IRAs, insurance contracts, that kind of stuff. Substituted for Form W-2, wage and tax statement. On the form, prepare your best estimate of your salary and withholding, explaining how you arrived at those figures, and send it in with your tax return. Now, the job and business expenses, well, you know what? In general, you need receipts to substantiate job hunting and unreimbursed business expenses, as well as travel and entertainment expenses or costs. They call it T&E. Now, T&E receipts must include the name of the person with whom you met, the name of the place where you met, the date, the amount of the expenses, and the business discussed. Now, the best way to satisfy this requirement is write the person's name and business purpose of the meeting on the back of the receipt. Now, there's a loophole for this. The IRS does not require receipts for cash expenses of less than $75 if you record them in a business diary at the time that they were incurred. Also, list the above information in the diary. This loophole does not apply to lodging costs, so keep that in mind. Excuse me. How about charitable donations? You know, a canceled check is not sufficient proof of charitable donations of $250 or more. To substantiate charitable donations, you need a receipt from the charity by the due date of your tax return. You need receipts for donations of $75 or more if you receive something from the charity in return for your donation, such as tickets to a performance or a book or CD. The receipt must state the value of what you received. Now, you've got to be careful. You must have these receipts in your possession by the time you file your return. Now, there's a loophole to this, too. The receipt requirements apply to individual donations, not the full amount that you donate to a charity over 1 year. So let me give you an example of that. Let's just say you give $100 weekly to your church. No receipts are required because the IRS considers that 52 gifts of $100, not one $5,200 annual gift. To substantiate charitable donations of property worth less than $5,000, you need only a receipt from the organization. Now, for gifts of property worth more than $500, but less than $5,000, you also need to file IRS Form 8283. That's non-cash charitable contributions. Contributions over $5,000 must be substantiated with certified appraisal. So keep that in mind. How about this? Stocks and mutual funds. When you sell investments, you owe capital gains tax on the difference between the sales proceeds and your tax cost, generally the price paid plus certain adjustments. Now, substantiation, you must have written proof of your cost, confirmation slips, dividend reinvestment, and stock split information. Again, there's a loophole for this. You can reconstruct your cost by using price information published in newspapers if you know the approximate date that you acquired the shares. For mutual funds, ask the fund manager for his information. And then, how about deductible driving costs? You can deduct annual mileage costs when you use your car for business purposes. As a general rule, you must keep a diary that includes the beginning and ending odometer readings for each trip, as well as the trip's purpose. There's a loophole here, too. The diary entry is sufficient to prove your deduction. If you are taking the IRS standard mileage rate for driving costs, you don't need to collect receipts for gasoline, repairs, insurance, and other automobile expenses unless you're deducting your actual driving expenses rather than the IRS rate. So, you know what? Keep that in mind. These are actually good things for you to know, and it's important things for you to know. So, we don't want you to, forget about these things. Now, let's see here. How about let's give you some of the greatest loopholes of all time. The tax code is full of loopholes that they just need to be sought out. Here are some of the greatest loopholes that I've come across in my practice of advising clients. The first one, when taking a lump sum distribution, instead of rolling over company stock that you have in your 401k plan to an IRA, have the company give you the shares and hold them in a taxable account. When you do this, you pay ordinary income tax at the time of the distribution only on the tax basis of the stock when it was put into the 401k account, plus an early withdrawal penalty if you're under the age of 59 and a half. You don't pay tax at that time on the built-up appreciation. The built-up appreciation isn't taxed until you sell the stock, and then it's taxed at favorable long-term capital gains rates. If you've had the stock for at least 1 year and a day, any additional appreciation will be similarly tax-flavored. And let me give you an example. Let's just say you receive a distribution of 1,000 shares of your employer's stock from your 401k plan with a tax basis of $20,000 and a $100,000 current value. You'll immediately owe ordinary income tax on $20,000 and may also owe a 10% early withdrawal penalty on that amount. The $80,000 in appreciation is not recognized when the shares are sold. Proceeds over the $20,000 will be taxed as described. If the shares are retained until death, your heirs will receive them at the stepped-up basis. That's their value as of the date of death. Now, take note, if these shares are transferred to an IRA rollover account, any capital gains tax benefit is going to be lost, and there will be no basis step-up at death, causing the beneficiaries to pay full income tax on any distributions from the IRA. So you want to be careful with that. Here's another loophole. Donate appreciated long-term stock instead of cash to your favorite charities. When you do this, you can deduct the full fair market value of the shares and owe no capital gains tax on the stock's buildup in the value since you bought it. Let me give you an example of that. You own 100 shares of stock purchased 10 years ago for $20 a share. When you donate the shares, now worth $50 a share, to charity, you deduct the full $5,000 fair market value, not your $2,000 cost. You also avoid paying capital gains tax on the $3,000 of appreciation in those shares. This is a big deal, guys. If you do this kind of stuff, you want to make sure you're doing it right. Let's give you another one. A loophole. Sell real estate at a gain, but defer paying tax by executing a Section 1031 exchange. When you exchange real property for like-kind property, taxes are deferred until the second property is actually sold. So let me give you an example of that. You pay no tax when you swap a motel or a warehouse for an apartment or office building because this is considered a like-kind exchange, but you've got to be careful. You cannot swap tax-free property that is not held for business or investment purposes, such as a vacation home. So the strategy? Property qualifies for a tax-free transfer even if it's sold before the exchange can be completed, as long as the exchange transaction is identified at the closing, the proceeds are held in trust, the exchange property is identified within 45 days, and the exchange is completed in 180 days. Now take note, details are tricky, so consult your tax advisor. You've heard me say it all the time. Always, always, always use a qualified tax advisor before you do any of these kinds of things. It's just absolutely imperative. Now, listen, we're going to go for a short break. When we come back, I'm going to continue with loopholes. The next loophole is beneficiaries inheriting partnership or LLC, limited liability company, shares can step up the basis of a decedent's interest by a Section 754 election. I will explain all of that right after these brief messages, so please don't go away. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:48 p.m. Pacific time, still 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, when I left you, I told you I was going to tell you about another loophole. Beneficiaries inheriting partnership or an LLC shares can step up the basis of a decedent's interest by using a Section 754 election. So, you know what? Sounds like Greek, right? Let me tell you about it. In this particular case, stepped-up basis refers to increasing the basis of the underlying property to reflect the price paid or value when inherited. Now, this should be done when the value of the underlying assets, such as real estate, is higher than the decedent's partner's or member's basis in the entity. You know, in this case, the election made by the partnership on behalf of the new partner or member beneficiary permits the business to take a bigger depreciation deduction that are then passed through to the beneficiary. So that's a good way and a good deal to go. How about another loophole for you? Plan your asset allocation to maximize tax benefits. Sounds like Greek, right? Here's the thing. Invest your tax-deferred accounts, such as a 401k and a regular IRA, into high-yielding fixed income securities and certificates of deposit, and invest non-tax deferred accounts in lower-yielding but capital gains-producing assets. The reason? Realized long-term capital gains and dividends are taxed at favorable rates, a maximum of 15% federal tax when they're held in taxable accounts. Unrealized capital gains are not taxed at all until the asset is sold. Now, in contrast, capital gains in a tax-deferred account will be taxed at much higher ordinary income tax rates when distributed from those kinds of accounts. So, keep your head on tight, right? How about this? Here's a loophole for you. Make a Section 83B election to minimize tax when you receive restricted stock or stock options from your employer or exercise incentive stock options. Here's the deal. The election will allow you to use tax-favored capital gains rates when you eventually dispose of the stock, or pay lower alternative minimum tax with respect to incentive stock options. On the sale of the shares, the election means that you pay tax at capital gains rates on the difference between the sales proceeds from the shares and your basis, which includes the amount taken when you made the 83B election. Now take note here, the election has to be made within 30 days of the receipt of the option or the restricted stock. No games, no way. You've got to play it right and know exactly what you're doing here. Well, let's try. How about you want to hear about some tax-free income loopholes? Sure. Who wouldn't, right? You know what? While most income is taxable, some types are completely tax-free. Here's a loophole for you. Interest paid on most state and municipal bonds is completely free of federal tax. By the way, you ought to know that it's also free of state tax in the state where you live. Now, the exception? Some special purpose municipal bonds are subject to the alternative minimum tax, AMT, so check with your tax advisor before you actually invest in those. But here's a strategy for you. Trusts that invest in AMT bonds and have no taxable income and gross income under $600 don't have to file tax returns or pay tax on the AMT income. Similarly, individuals who receive AMT, that's the alternative minimum tax, bond interest, and have no taxable income over the individual exemption amount, then for last year, then they don't have to pay taxes on that income. Therefore, individuals who do not have to file returns can buy AMT bonds, which often yield more than other municipal bonds, and pay no tax on their AMT income. Now take note, interest on state and municipal bonds does not count as gross income. So keep that in mind. And let's see here. I got to make sure I got the time right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How about this? Let's talk about income earned in health savings accounts. HSAs accumulates tax-free. Contributions to HSAs are also deductible, and withdrawals are completely tax-free when the money is used to pay medical expenses. There's a bonus, too. Contributions made by your employer to an HSA are tax-free of payroll and income taxes. Here's another loophole for you. Withdrawals from Section 529 tuition plans are completely tax-free when the money is used to pay college tuition and other higher education costs. No tax is owed on withdrawals of plan earnings or principal. How about another loophole? Qualified withdrawals of contributions and earnings from Roth IRA and Roth 401k plans are not taxed. You can make tax-free withdrawals of income after the account has been open for at least 5 years. Also, the account holder must be over the age of 59 and a half or disabled or a first-time home buyer. But that's a good deal. Here's a loophole for you. Certain legal settlements are absolutely tax-free. Here's an example. Compensation for pain and suffering is not taxed. However, settlements for lost earnings and damages for loss to reputation are. So here's a strategy. The tax status of the proceeds is based on how the original complaints were worded. So speak with your attorney about tax implications before you actually file the suit. I mean, remember I tell you, always go to a professional. They're going to save you more money than they're going to cost you. It's worth you doing that. How about this? Let's see. Child support payments are not taxed. Such payments are not deductible by the payer. However, alimony is taxable to the recipient and deductible to the payer. Here's another loophole. State tax refunds are tax-free if you did not receive a tax benefit on your federal return in the prior year. You know, and you would have had to itemize your taxes in order to get that. So if you don't itemize, the state refund is going to be absolutely tax-free to you. That's a good deal, right? Sure it is. You know what? You know what that noise was? Yeah, that noise is a reminder that our own Joel Saltzman is going to be coming in here any minute, and we'll be with him very, very shortly. Well, let's talk about life insurance proceeds are not taxed. You know, but if the policy is improperly titled, held in the name of the insured or payable to the insured's estate, or the insured retained incidents of ownership, such as the ability to change the beneficiary, the proceeds may be subject to estate tax. You're going to be careful. So it's better to buy the policy in an irrevocable life insurance trust. You get all the same benefits, but you get it tax-free, up to $2 million per person. Here's another loophole for you. You can exclude up to $87,600 of foreign earned income from your taxable income when working abroad if you are physically present in one or more foreign countries during at least 330 full days of 12 consecutive months. That includes the time you earned the income, or you are a bona fide resident of one or more foreign countries for a full tax year, generally a calendar year. Now take note, if you pay income taxes in the foreign country, you might be eligible for a credit or deduction against your U.S. taxes, eliminating or mitigating the double tax, and that's where you want to be with that. Let me give you one more before we take our break and go over to Joel Saltzman, our own Dr. Wireless. You know, stock dividends that are paid in additional shares of the stock are tax-free. Now, basis in the stock is reallocated over the increased number of shares. So let me give you an example. You own 100 shares that cost you $40 a share. You receive 100 more shares as a dividend. Your new basis is $20 per share. $4,000 divided by that 200 shares. Keep that in mind. Now, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless, and he's going to, God only knows what he's going to tell us about. He's got a plethora, I haven't used that word in a long time, of information about new programs, new companies, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll be right back with Dr. Wireless, our own Joel Saltzman, after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? If you live in Chicago, Illinois, it's partly cloudy. It's 6 p.m. and it's 22 degrees outside. So you know what? I'm guessing you'd much rather be where my good buddy my good buddy Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless, is at in Torrance, California. He probably just got off the ways. I think he probably is still soaking wet. Hey, Joel, welcome aboard.
Hey, Robert, I took such a beating. I don't know what my name is either. So I know
I'm sorry. I don't know where the hell my mind went. I think my mind went away a long time ago.
Well, it happens. It's been a little bit crazy out there the last few days.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, unbelievable. You know what? I'm excited. We've got you at a new time segment, same day, but a new time segment. And you know what excites me about this?
What excites you?
You actually get more airtime in this segment than in the segment before this, and I love all the stuff you're coming up with, and it's going to give me an opportunity to interrupt you more and ask you more questions.
Well, that's what it's all about, and that sounds like good stuff. I never get done with everything anyway, so maybe a couple extra minutes couldn't hurt.
Yeah, I just recently got Fios. God, I got to tell you, it's just unbelievable. However, you have to have a direct a wire. Like I'm plugged into the Ethernet for the show, and I'm getting 100 megabytes per second up and down. You don't. Wow. They don't guarantee that to you when you're using the wireless. But you know what I get on the wireless? I'm getting 50 megabytes per second up and down on the wireless.
Well, I'm getting 90 with my Time Warner all of a sudden on the down, but I think it's only 10. I think upload. But I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to death with this thing. You know, with Charter, I was getting like 50 on the up, and I was only getting, I think around 5 or 10 on the down. So I'm just tickled to death with this stuff.
Well, you know what? That segues right into those folks in New York who can feel good about themselves, because today, Link New York public Wi-Fi kiosks called Links were launched, and they're offering free speeds of 300 megabits per second right now on 3rd Avenue.
Holy mackerel.
So that's not bad. It's 30 times as fast as the internet speeds available to the rest of us. So it's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, so is that? Are you saying
free public Wi-Fi in New York? And we're talking blazing fast.
Are you saying that is the standard to come? That most of these cities are going to be offering free public Wi-Fi at those kind of speeds?
Well, not all of them. I know Santa Monica is offering blazing speeds, but it's not free. So some cities are going to be offering, we'll have some kind of charge. I assume it's going to be an advertisement sponsor type deal in New York. Somebody's got to pay for it. But needless to say, they're going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting.
Did you hear about what happened at Renault?
No.
You know, the French car maker?
Oh, I know who they are. I just didn't hear what happened.
They their sales, or I guess their stock plunged 20% before recovering. It closed 10.3% lower because the police raided the company's facilities.
Why?
Well, guess. If you had to guess why police might be raiding a car manufacturer these days, it has to do with they suspected that there might be some cheating with the emissions tests that like Volkswagen did.
Wow.
So far, no evidence of cheating, but the fact that, these folks were there.
Yeah.
Fraud investigators were in the factory. I guess if you're a car manufacturer, you better make sure that your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed.
Well, you remember the old days when 60 Minutes first came out, and one of the things they said was that the last thing you wanted was to have 60 Minutes on your doorstep when you got to the office in the morning. It's the same thing with the stock market. If you got the police showing up at your doorstep, look out.
Yeah, if you had 60 Minutes showing up at your doorstep, you'd hope to be the guy who invented cold ease. I don't know if you heard about them, but
yeah.
The amazing zinc compound in these lozenges, causes like a normal cold to go away in 24 hours.
Yeah.
I swear by those.
You know what? I've used them, and they do work. You know what?
They're incredible.
When you take these lozenges, and it doesn't taste bad either, but when you take it, it's almost instant. It opens you up.
It's remarkable. And the funny thing is my wife doesn't like the taste of them, and I tell her, I say, darling, I'd eat these if they didn't make me feel better. I think they taste good. I like the cherry ones.
Yeah, and they come in different flavors.
I'll be sick for a week, and I'll be fine the next day. It's like they immediately, as soon as your throat gets scratchy and you start sneezing, you suck on one of those for a day or two, a couple of those, and the next day you're fine.
Yeah,
it's amazing,
and they come in different flavors. I'm surprised that more people aren't talking about coldies.
Yeah, now we should be getting an endorsement for this. We're just kind of raving about this product, but it does work, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting paid by them.
Well, no, but you know what? You work too. I'm astounded at the amount of data that you process every day. I mean, things are changing so much, and you were processing this stuff. It just amazes me how you can keep up with all these different companies and all the gimmicks and things that they're doing, and recognize that some of them are not worth the risk, and other ones, you ought to probably take the risk. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah, well, it's not easy, and I have to rely on a lot of other folks and colleagues to do all these reviews because I can't review all these products anymore as I used to. But there's a lot of good products out there, a lot that aren't so good. Yeah. And it's a matter of discerning, which ones to go with.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to do, Joel, is, some time ago, you and I were talking about, we were on the air, talking about AT&T with a new program they had that if your phone had a bad signal, it would let you do a voice over IP over the internet.
Right.
I still have yet to have that happen on my phone, so I'm going to go visit AT&T and say, hey, guys, I want this thing. Why haven't you sent it out?
Yeah, I would definitely look into that. It's a great feature. I'm not sure that guy in Fresno that we talked about who, those new iPhones have that automatic Wi-Fi assist where it transfers over to Wi-Fi, and I guess he was watching the whole series of Downton Abbey or something, and got banged for a $2,000 Verizon bill.
That
stuff can happen.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want that to happen. But you know what? I just recently moved, and in my new home, I have miserable reception from on my phone. If I step outside, it's okay, but inside, it's a disaster. So,
well, let me tell you what to do. Who's your carrier?
You know who it is, right? It's
okay. Well, I was going to say, had your carrier been T-Mobile, T-Mobile. I'm not to say it would be any better or worse than your coverage right now, but with T-Mobile, you pick up the phone and you call me, and I pick up the phone and tell them, send Mr. Cardoza out a 4G LTE Wi-Fi booster. They send it out to your home. You plug it in. It's like a Wi-Fi router. All of a sudden, you've got fantastic 4G in every room of your house for free.
Wow.
For free.
Wow.
So these are the things that you need to know, and if you don't know, you don't ask.
Yeah,
if I was you, I'd contact AT&T and say, hey, do you guys have those free 4G boosters, like T-Mobile does, because I got no coverage in my home, and who knows?
Yeah.
If they have one, maybe they'll give you one.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give it a try, Joel.
Couldn't hurt.
And they, you know what? If you don't ask, you're sure not going to get it.
Yeah, and this is part of what we do. Carrier consulting, we basically know how to get a better deal, even with the same carrier. And I'll tell you something interesting. I just worked with 2 of our major accounts recently. Mm-hmm. One of those accounts, I just saved $1,204 per month.
Oh, wow.
And not by changing anything, just by consolidating 2 accounts they had with same carrier and putting them on a more effective, more efficient plan. And they also got 14 gigabytes of hotspot, which they didn't have previously. So they got a better deal, saved almost $14,000 a year.
That's big. That's big.
So
yeah, that's big.
So, and it's just a matter of, being savvy enough to know how to negotiate. And because I represent most carriers, I know how to play them against each other.
Yeah.
And a percentage of something beats the heck out of 100% of nothing. And once I explain it to the retention departments, they generally get it. And some of the carriers are willing to cough up.
Oh, that's a good way to go. Recently I was having a problem with my iPhone. Recently I've had a problem with everything. This move, I don't know what the hell happened. All I did was change addresses, and everything else went to hell in a handbasket. But my iPhone,
battery-related problems, Robert?
No. Batteries, I got no problems at all. What the problem that I'm having or had on my iPhone was all of a sudden it was asking for my password, but it wasn't accepting it anymore, and I couldn't change it because it had an old email address that I had when I was in private practice that I haven't had for years, right? So I figured I'm going to go down there, but I called and they got me to fix mine over the phone. It was no big deal. And I said, well, will this automatically fix the problem with my wife's phone and my 2 iPads? And he says, yeah, that'll all get taken care of at one time. Well, it fixed my phone, but the other 3 are still a mess.
Wow. Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff. Yeah, I know right now there's a lot of controversy right now with Apple, and the problem is Apple just introduced a new fix. I don't know if you did it yet, the 9.2.1.
Yeah, I did it this morning.
And okay. Now, I told you not to do that stuff right away when you got it, but you're not listening to me.
I do listen to you, but you know what? I see that thing and I don't even think about it. Usually, it was like 5:00 this morning when I got this message that there was this update available. Do you want to do it? Sure. Yep, I hit it, right? And once I've got it going is when I remember that Joel said, "Don't ever do that, Bob."
Well, the problem is because, Apple basically indicated that this fix was all about a problem they had with the battery and the battery indicator freezing. And, they said initially it had to do with the time change settings, which wasn't true. And they just admitted today that this new fix does nothing for the battery. They haven't been able to figure out what the problem is yet. And, and the problem I have with these fixes is if they've got a problem and the new release is going to fix it, that's great.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they take away functionality or they add problems. They haven't tested these updates with all of the various applications they have in the App Store, so there can be weird stuff. So my recommendation is always, unless you're in pain, unless you have a problem and this new update says it's addressing the problem and it will fix the problem, I always recommend waiting at least a week, and 5 days after this thing is released, you go to Google and you go iOS 9.2.1 problems. And if you get 10,000 problems and they're all the same, then it's probably a good idea not to do the upgrade yet. And then what happens is Apple will do a 9.2.2, which fixes 9.2.1, which fixed 9.2.0.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of waiting until they recognize exactly what's going on here. They fix everything. So
well, that's
we'll pray that nothing goes wrong with your phone and there's no other I got something from Apple. It says Apple iOS 9.2.1 has a nasty surprise.
Uh-oh.
I haven't read it yet.
Oh God! Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I basically don't have the 6. I still got the 5S. And so I don't have any battery problems. And since I put this,
that's good.
Since I put this in, I haven't had a problem. But as usual, my good buddy Dr. Wireless is scaring the hell out of me.
Well, the 5S is a great device. So if you can deal with the screen size, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. The good thing about Apple is a lot of these software upgrades and feature upgrades, actually work on the older devices. Obviously, you don't have the 3D touch feature because that's a device feature, but a lot of the software, carries, into the older models. So the 5S, my wife still uses that model. She loves it.
What are you talking about 3D touch? Because I do use my finger to do my password.
All right. Well, 3D touch is a new feature introduced on the latest 6S model and 6S Plus, and you press the device down to certain levels. You press harder, it does different things to the phone. So, and it works great with that new live feature where they have the pictures that record like a second before, a second after. So it shows a regular picture, but when you hold it down for the live, it then gives you sound, and it's like a 3-second video clip.
Cool.
So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, there was just a leak. Samsung's Galaxy S7, they're saying it's going to do the exact same thing with the 3D touch. Now, they don't get sued for coming out with the exact same features. I mean, they call it something else. But
and you know what? They're probably changing some line of code or some doggone thing in there that makes it different than Apple's, I suppose. Unless what they're doing, I mean, if they're reverse engineering this thing, you'd think that Apple would be all over them.
Well, the cool thing here is Samsung always introduces either at or before Mobile World Congress, which is that huge Barcelona mobile show, which happens in February. So this bad boy is going to be out any day, and I'm dying to see what this looks like because I never really felt like going to Android again from iPhones, but this thing is just looking extremely impressive.
Well, you're one of the few guys. Well, I shouldn't say that because I don't really know that for a fact. I'm making a personal observation for myself. I'm sticking with my 5S simply because I don't want that bigger screen. My son-in-law has it, and my daughter has it, and they complain about the size of it. They're saying they're getting more and more accustomed to it. They certainly like looking at the bigger screen. It's just the inconvenience of putting it in their pocket or putting it someplace that they're having a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the size of my screen, and although that's the 6 Plus or something like that that's got the big screen, right?
Right. Well, here's the problem, Robert. It's not just the big screen. Apple doesn't disclose this, but the Plus series, the bigger one, is a far better device for many, many reasons. It's not just a matter of we're going to give you a bigger screen. It's better made. It's got 2 million pixels versus 1 million pixels on the regular 6. If you Google it, you'll be surprised. One of my colleagues was explaining that that's like their gold line, where they do everything right. It's waterproofed, I think, differently. It's made better. The materials are better. They do a few things that are better. I think the camera may be better. There are some little things that they don't talk about that are on this device that are not on the regular one. So it's not just screen size. Will they eventually put that technology in
advances in new phones that are coming out with a smaller screen and give you the option?
Everybody's screaming for it.
Yeah.
Everybody who knows about that saying, why are you discriminating against people that don't want these ginormous screens?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But, the reality of it today is the Plus is a much better model than the regular. I have the regular. Yeah. I have a 628 gig. I don't even have the latest, 6S. But, my understanding is you got to hit the pluses before you get the latest, greatest technology with Apple.
Yeah, well, that one, I need him to give me a phone that I can put in my back pocket. In the meantime...
Well, it isn't going to be the big boys.
Okay, give out some contact information. We've got to go on a commercial break, and we'll be right back with our own Dr. Wireless. Give out the contact.
All right. Everything we're talking about here is on our website, www.drwireless.com/blog. We also have it on our Facebook page, Facebook/drwireless. I can be contacted at joel@drwireless.com as well.
And we'll be right back with our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman, right after these brief messages. Don't go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? If you're in Paris, France, I want you to know that at 1:23 a.m. tomorrow morning, it's currently 21 degrees and misty. But right now, talking about getting misty, I'm here waiting for my own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. Hey, Joel, you got the microphone.
Talk about getting misty. How about Donald Trump saying he'll get Apple to start building their damn computers and things in the U.S.?
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
I think he's got a better chance getting Mexico to pay for the wall than to get Apple to do that.
Yeah, I do too. You know, Apple is they'll stop funding the United States Treasury, so we got to be careful.
Amazing. That's what I heard. I heard that. And it sounds like they're going to donate a lot of equipment to the Super Bowl committee, and who knows what that's going to get them.
Well, the Donald is saying a lot of things. If any of that's, it's sort of like throwing mud against the wall. If any of it sticks, it could be a good thing. Hey, did you see that Sarah Palin came out big time for him yesterday?
Yeah, but she auspiciously disappeared. She was supposed to attend an event this morning, and she didn't show up. And I have a pretty good idea why.
Well, yeah, but she showed up at a subsequent one after the one she didn't show up at.
Yeah, well, did she?
Yeah.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, and what was the first question?
I don't remember because I didn't watch it. I actually caught it on the AP.
Oh, okay. You heard about what happened with her son.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure Trump is wondering, is this a good thing or not?
Oh, yeah. You know what? And then the thing is, she said something about, it's the elephant in the room, right? So instead of starting off talking about Donald Trump, she started off talking about her son and trying to get that off the book.
Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, just unbelievable stuff. Just, you know what?
Well,
If it weren't for the 17 people we have running for president, I wouldn't be able to recognize lies anymore.
Well, you know what? In this, it's a world of deception we have right now, and it's amazing. It's actually I actually consulted somebody today who contacted me, and they were asking me, they're telling me they had a huge problem with spam email, and I asked him, why? What has he been doing? And they were telling me that every time they get one of these emails, they, request to be removed from the list. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. At the end where it says unsubscribe, does it have your email address there already? Or are they asking you to put your email address in? And he's saying, yeah, I was wondering about that. They asked me to put my email address.
Yeah, they asked you to put it in. Yeah.
Well, they obviously, if they send you an email, they know what your email address is. So if they're asking you to opt out at the bottom of this, and to opt out, you have to input your email address. It's not there automatically, then don't do it. Because what's happening is you're verifying that you're a legitimate email address, and they may pull you out of their list, but they're going to sell you to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can guarantee you're going to get more email if you start filling in email addresses every time you want to opt out. And I also said, well, is it a normal opt-out disclosure, or is there a ton of gibberish below it, and then there's an opt-out? He goes, yeah, there was all kinds of stuff about I ate at so-and-so Italian restaurant the other night, and, and I said, well, that's spam.
Yeah.
Don't respond to that. So, to your users who don't know this, never offer your email address to get opted out from spam. You're better off ignoring it. Just delete it. If you have a bounce back option, that's fantastic. Use it. The key is you want to show that you're not a legitimate email address to these bad guys. And if you do that, they're not going to resell your email address, to all these people at the list.
Well, the thing is it's so easy when you look at it without opening it just to erase it. If there's something you want to read or you don't want to read. But I think, Joel, you and I could go out and make some millions if we would just develop the software that would get into the Apple phone that would delete all of your archived emails automatically.
I agree.
I agree. This is stupid. This thing is saving all these emails. I don't want them. I can eliminate them one at a time, but I can't eliminate the thousands of them that are there.
Yeah, what I do periodically is I'll go in and, I'll put in like Los Angeles Times because I get like 3 emails a day from them.
Yeah.
And it'll pull up all of those, and then I can select and delete. But, it may be, 20, 30, 100. I can't get everything.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, so I wanted to throw that out there because, what seems obvious to me sometimes is not obvious to other people.
Well, I wasn't aware of it, Joel, because I do the same thing your friend does. I opt out on these damn things. I get these things. It goes down there, says unsubscribe or opt out, and I do that. And so I'm guilty of the same thing. For those of us that are not tech savvy like you are, you think you think these people are being honest, but they're not.
Well, I just noticed after years of doing it that every time I seem to put in my email address, I'm getting stuff from different people, from Dr. Oz, from all kinds of health tips. And I know, and then when I stop doing that, you know, and I'm not saying don't opt out. If you opt out, it already has your email address that you want to opt out on, you know, there, go for it. But it's, you know, it's a fishing expedition. If it doesn't have it, they want it, and it's not good. Don't give it to them.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Anyhow, so I'm finding, you know, that's a pretty significant problem, you know, and it's just part of the fraud that's going along. You know, if you didn't play the Australian lottery, you didn't win it.
Yeah.
People just don't understand. You know, they get these emails, they want $185,000, but they got to pay a $90 processing fee. You didn't win anything, folks.
I got a guy on LinkedIn the other day. I haven't seen this scam in such a long time. I used to see this stuff out of Nigeria all the time. You know, they have this money, they want to pay you this thing, but they need this deposit, they need the help with this thing. Well, I got one from LinkedIn, one of those scams. I can't believe it.
The wife of President John Goodluck, who just got deposed, is trying to move all this money out of Burka Mabaki or whatever, and selected me and wants to put it in my account and will give me 40% for allowing them to set up the bank account. I mean, I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
My lucky day. But I mean, this is the kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I got something from Ogis, Miami. Ogis is a tiny little suburb of Miami, of North Miami. Mm-hmm. And I happen to grow up there and go to Ogis Elementary School. So when I happen to be living in Torrance and I get this email saying that I won a boat from Ogis, and all I got to do is pay $250 shipping costs, and they will ship this boat to me. And I contacted them and said, what a coincidence. I'm actually from South Florida, went to Ogis Elementary School, which is apparently a block from your offices, and I'm going to be in town visiting my folks next month. How about if I come and pick up that boat?
And you heard nothing back, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I found out it was like one of those little plastic dinghies.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a big scam. But bottom line is, anytime somebody wants you to send money to get something, it's a scam, folks.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You know what? If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Don't let, you know, these things, suck you in. It's just people are just out there they're just scam artists, and they're going to ruin your life. You know, you think about the Bernie Madoffs of the world that have cheated people out of their life savings, and these guys just they don't lose sleep. They don't lose any sleep at night at all.
Yeah, and well, one of the biggest scams, I feel sorry for people that fall for this, there's a newer one that's been going on, and what happens is all these stolen credit cards. Mm-hmm. People buy merchandise with the stolen credit cards. They have, you know, jobs they offer in Craigslist, you know, where they want people to receive packages and then reship them, and they pay a salary. And, you know, it sounds like a legitimate thing until you ask about, well, wait a minute, why? And what's happening is these people are using stolen credit cards to buy merchandise, and then they sign you up. They have the merchandise shipped to you, and then you repackage it, and they pay you to ship it to somebody else, and this way they'll never get caught.
Right.
And if somebody gets caught, guess who that's going to be?
Absolutely.
You know, you're receiving stolen property with stolen credit cards, and you have to explain, oh, well, that's my job. I buy stuff, and I have stuff sent to me, and I reship it. I'm working for XYZ company.
Yeah.
So a lot of that going on. So, you know, I always tell people, you know, if you're going to get hired off Craigslist, you better do some research.
Yeah, I figured I'm going to let them do that. I'm going to let them send me all this stuff, but I'm not going to ship any of it out, and I'm just going to keep it.
Well, I'm sure some people do that too.
Oh, I'm kidding, Joel.
Well, you know what? I'm sure some people do that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Some people try to beat the system and they don't get it.
Yeah. No, you know, the last thing I want is somebody to knock at my front door with a gift of these stainless steel bracelets that they want to put on me.
I agree.
So listen.
Anyhow, back to
I don't know what's happening because we got 4 minutes.
Awesome. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to hit 2 things real quick. A, fake hoverboards.
Oh.
How would you like to be LG or Samsung? There's all kinds of Chinese companies now that are manufacturing these really crummy, dangerous hoverboards that catch fire, and they're putting Samsung and LG's logos on these devices before they ship them.
Are you saying that the legitimate...
Without their authorization,
Are you saying that the legitimate hoverboards are not having a problem?
They're not
the
legit.
Knockoffs
These are knockoffs, and they're throwing LG and Samsung's logos on them to make them look legit.
No, the question was this. Are you saying the knockoffs are the ones that are catching fire, but the honest ones are okay?
I don't know. I can't say that the honest ones are okay either, but I believe it is these knockoffs that are catching fire. They're lithium-ion batteries, and when you're dealing with lithium-ion, knockoffs can be very dangerous. So I don't know that for sure. I'd love to say yes, just the knockoffs, but don't go out and buy one yet, Robert.
Well, I'm not going to. I'm going to keep both feet as close to the ground as I can. I don't want, if there's going to be wheels under them, it's going to be because I'm on a seat.
I hear you. Lastly and not leastly, Leica just introduced a new underwater camera. We hear about all the GoPros, which are wonderful. Mm-hmm. And all my buddies use these GoPros. They attach them to their surfboards, to their SUPs, to their paddles. Leica finally introduced a really good underwater camera. 16.5 megapixel, and it's got really good optics, super fast aperture, really good specs. The only problem is it's $2,950. So you could buy 6 top of the line GoPros and take your wife out to dinner. You know what? This is appropriate because, I just recently moved, and you'll never guess what I found. I found a Nikon 35 millimeter camera that I had tucked away, I don't know how many years ago. And I don't even know. Hold on to it. It might be worth something eventually. I don't even know if you can buy film for this thing anymore. Yeah, that's a good question. But my wife says, I just throw it away. It's no good anymore. She says, wait a minute, what do you say? It still works. I just don't know if you can get film for it. And besides which, I'm never gonna put that thing around my neck. I've got my camera in my back pocket. Wow. Yeah, well, they were great at one time. Yeah, I had one stolen out of my car at a car wash once. So, what can you do? Yeah, they're. But anyhow, before we run out of time, I guess I should give my credentials. Anybody who wants to dig deeper on what we're talking about today can find all of this content on our website, www.d as in David, R as in Rabbit, Wireless, drwireless.com. We also have this on our Facebook page, Facebook/DR Wireless. And I can also be contacted at joel@drwireless.com. But hey, Joel, before you go, how do you like the format in this segment that you're in? I mean, you get a lot more airtime. What do you think? I like it. I'm a bag of wind, and I never finish. And today I actually finished. So yeah, good times. And I interrupted the hell out of you, so I think that's a good thing. Well, I tell you, if the content isn't good, there's no reason to interrupt. So hopefully, it's a good thing. Hey, buddy, this was a fascinating show. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you were willing to do the change for me. I want you to go out and make it a wonderful evening for everybody that touches your life, and I want you to stay happy. I want you to stay safe, and I'll talk to you next week. Likewise. Thank you, Robert. All right, my friend. Now, for those of you that are still hanging in there, do not go away. Because when you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group.
It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That hasn't gone down for a long time. It's supposed to go down to 49 degrees. But you know what? If you live in San Diego, California, it's 64 degrees and partly cloudy. But boy, it's a beautiful place over there. Let's change the format up a little bit. We're coming down, getting toward the end of the line. Let's talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. You know, the secret today is all about a positive mental attitude. Not really a secret because I tell you about this every day. I swear to you, folks, this stuff works. You control your life. You control the beginning, the end, the middle, everything. It's all up to you. Well, the secret for today is gratitude was a fundamental part of the teachings of all of the great avatars throughout history. In the book that changed my life, The Science of Getting Rich, written by Wallace Wattles in 1910, gratitude is its longest chapter. Every teacher featured in The Secret uses gratitude as part of his or her day. Most of them begin their day with thoughts and feelings of gratitude. Yep. Absolutely. That's what goes on. Well, let's talk about the Harvard business tip of the day. And the management tip today is 3 types of meetings to stop having. You know, in order to have fewer, more purposeful meetings, there are a few types that we all need to stop having. Pronto. The worst offenders include convenience meetings. When managers have information to disseminate to a large group, they often get everyone in a room together, but this usually disrupts work and wastes time. Next time, circulate a memo or have several one-on-one conversations. The other thing? Formality meetings. These meetings are called as a matter of tradition or habit. If you have to go looking for items to add to an agenda, you probably don't need the meeting anymore. You know what? That's probably the case. And then finally, social meetings. You know, some meetings are called under the guise of collaboration or alignment when it's really connection that we're after. While that's a laudable goal, meetings are a pretty lousy way to foster it. Instead, invite people to a team-building activity, retreat, or a party, but make it optional. That is where you're going to get a beat on the day. Well, you know what today is. Sure you do. Today is Wednesday, January the 20th, and it is somebody's birthday. And we've got some good ones today. You know what? When we talk about these birthdays, it's exciting and it's terrific. But this particular guy, he was born in 1920, passed away in 1993. A film director who's considered one of the most influential filmmakers of the 20th century. Happy birthday, Federico Fellini! And here's a guy, I watch him all the time. My grandson watches him. He's just really, really popular. He was born in 1956. He's a comedian and TV host known for his political satire and social political commentary. Happy birthday, Bill Maher. And this fellow's born in 1968, an actor with roles as Dwight in the TV comedy The Office, and leading role in the movie The Rocker, and Arthur in 6 Feet Under. Happy birthday, Rainn Wilson. And you know what? Let's talk about what happened on January the 20th, this day in history, in 1892. At the YMCA in Springfield, Massachusetts, the very first official basketball game was played, 1892. And today, in 1986, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is celebrated as a federal holiday for the first time ever. And finally, on January 20th, 2009, Barack Obama was inaugurated as the 44th President of the United States, becomes the U.S.'s first African-American president. Well, the quote for today comes from Diane Burke, and she says, "The major block to compassion is the judgment in our minds. Judgment is the mind's primary tool of separation." Yep, that makes sense, doesn't it? Well, let's talk about those interesting but useless facts. We got a number of them, so let's get to them. Did you know the original name of Los Angeles was El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de Los Angeles del Rio Porciuncula, translating into the village of Our Lady, the Queen of the Angels of the Porciuncula River. Yeah, here we go. Give that a shot. Did you know that ice is not slippery? What makes people and things slip on ice is water. A thin layer of ice melts when pressure is applied to it, and it is this wet layer on top of the ice that is slippery, not the ice itself. Well, did you know that Judy Scheindlin, that's Judge Judy for those of you that don't know, has a $25 million salary, with Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has a $190,100 salary. Go figure. Yeah, absolutely. Figure, yeah, why not? Anyway, let's see. Let's talk about this. Did you know that milk delivered to the store today was in the cow 2 days ago? Now, yeah, they got to move that stuff right along. Absolutely, they do. Let's see here. How about this? Did you know that a cheetah has amazing eyesight during the day and can spot prey from 5 kilometers away? Yeah. And the Maya Indians filed their front teeth to points and drilled holes in them so that they could be embellished with precious gems. They filled cavities in their teeth with pieces of jade. You know what? Seems to be about the same thing that the dentist does, just not as good, right? Yeah. How about this? Did you know that pound for pound, ponies are stronger than horses? Yeah, give that some thought. Or sticky buns. God, I love sticky buns. Sticky buns were a Philadelphia specialty in the 19th century. You ever had one? God, they're just wonderful. You know, the linen bandages that were used to wrap Egyptian mummies averaged 1,000 yards in length. Wow. That's a lot of wrapping, folks. Yeah. How about this? A cat has 4 rows of whiskers. And in 1789, Morocco became the first country to recognize the United States. Go figure. And then finally, when you sneeze, all your bodily functions stop, even your heart. Give that some thought. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to answer your emails. The first email's from Nate Dale from Ames, Iowa. He's asking about the adjusted home sale price, and I'm going to tell him and you all about it right after these brief messages, so don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, we're coming down to the wire. Time for me to answer your emails. Just want to remind you one more time that this is just an entertainment section of the show. We always encourage you to talk to a licensed professional before you do anything. They're always going to save you more money than they cost you, and they're going to let you sleep at night and have peace of mind because they have to have errors and omissions insurance as a condition of their licensing. That's the same thing as malpractice insurance, but it does mean mind that if they give you the wrong advice, they pay the piper, not you. So you don't have to worry about registered letters or phone calls or somebody knocking at your door. It's the way to go. Well, our first email today comes from Nate Dale from Ames, Iowa, is asking about the adjusted home sale price. In writes, before closing on the purchase of a home, we found some defects that the seller promised to make good. Rather than delay the sale to fix them or change the sales price, he sent me a check for $7,000 after the sale. Is this taxable to me? That's a great question, Nate. And, the payment to you is an adjustment to the sales price, so it's not taxable to you, but reduces your cost basis in the home. That's its cost to you for tax purposes when computing gain or loss on its future sale. Any amounts you then spend to improve the home by fixing the defects will increase your basis in it. So let me give you an example. Let's just say that you bought the home for $200,000. The $7,000 payment to you reduces your basis in it to $193,000. That's the 200 minus the 7. Now, if you then spend $6,500 of that $7,000 on fixing the defects, your cost basis in it will increase to $199,500. That's the 193 plus the 6,500. So keep records documenting what occurred, and you'll be just fine. Next email comes from Royce Diaz from Torrington, Connecticut, asking about a reasonable salary, and writes, can I avoid paying myself the reasonable salary that corporations must pay their owners if I set my business up as a partnership? Well, Royce, it's not the owners of a corporation who must take reasonable salaries, but it's owner employees, those who actually work for it. Now, the owners of a private corporation are likely to work for it, but any who don't will receive only dividends and not salaries. Now, partnerships are a little bit different. Partners don't receive salaries. Even if they work for the business, they receive draws, which can then be set at zero. Now, general partners are subject to self-employment tax, which is the equivalent of Social Security and Medicare for self-employed individuals, regardless of whether they participate in the business activity. Now, next email comes from Quincy Griffone from Downey, California, asking about an inheritance from abroad, and says, my wife expects to receive a large inheritance from a relative in a foreign country. Does the IRS have any special tax rules that apply to inheritances from abroad? Well, Quincy, an inheritance received from abroad is tax-free to the recipient, just as any other inheritance would be. However, reporting requirements apply to certain bequests, gifts, and trust distributions from abroad. Your wife may be required to file Form 3520. That's the annual return to report transactions with foreign trusts and receipt of certain foreign gifts, or Form 3520-A, which is the annual information return of foreign trust with a U.S. owner. In any event, penalties for failing to do this can be really steep, and criminal penalties may even apply. So check with a tax professional before you go anywhere with that. Now, last email today is from Brandon Henry from Sheridan, Wyoming, asking about a IRA contributions, and writes, if I retire at the end of this year, at the end of January this year, will I be able to make a deductible IRA contribution for last year? No, I'm sorry, for this year also, since I've worked a month. Here's the deal. The answer to your question is yes. The IRA contribution limit is going to increase to $5,000 is where we're at, and to $6,000 for people who are 50 years old and older. So for both traditional and Roth IRAs, this is $1,000 more than it used to be. Now, having earned income this year can enable you to contribute as much as that limit or the amount you earn, whichever is less, to an IRA. If you earn income only in January, you're unlikely to reach any of the income limits that restrict the high earners from making IRA contributions. But check the details and other eligibility requirements in IRS publication 590, that's Individual Retirement Arrangements in IRAs. You want to make sure that you're doing all of that stuff. I want to remind you that we have apps available. I'd like you to get those apps. You know, if you have a Windows product or an Android product, you can go to googleplay.com and just search Robert Cardoza Live. The app will come up. It's absolutely free. Download it on your iPhone, your iPad, your Apple or your I've gone nuts here. Your Android or your Windows product. And you can listen to our show live when it's live. You can listen to the archives that are all there. You can chat with us when we're live. It's a good way to go. If you've got an Apple product, go to the Apple Store, do the same search, Robert Cardoza Live, and it's, again, absolutely free. And I'd appreciate you getting it and telling all your friends all about it. And matter of fact, tell them all about our show. Now, on my next show, Sean Lefebvre and I are going to solve the world's problems and much more. So please tell your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
Our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.